A free trade zone is a specific class of special economic zone. They are a geographic area where goods may be landed, handled, manufactured or reconfigured, and re-exported without the intervention of the customs authorities. Only when the goods are moved to consumers within the country in which the zone is located do they become subject to the prevailing customs duties. Free trade zones are organized around major seaports, international airports, and national frontiers, areas with many geographic advantages for trade. It is a region where a group of countries has agreed to reduce or eliminate trade barriers. Free trade zones can also be defined as labor-intensive manufacturing centers that involve the import of raw materials or components and the export of factory products. Synonyms: free trade zones are referred to as foreign trade zones in the United States. In the United States, FTZs provide customs-related advantages as well as exemptions from state and local inventory taxes. In other countries, they are called special economic zones or free zones, and were previously called free ports or export processing zones. Free zones range from specific purpose manufacturing facilities to areas where legal systems and economic regulation vary from the normal provisions of the country concerned. Free zones may reduce taxes, customs duties, and regulatory requirements for registration of business. Zones around the world often provide special exemptions from normal immigration procedures and foreign investment restrictions as well as other features. Free zones are intended to foster economic activity and employment that could occur elsewhere. Farrell, Akinci, ed. Special Economic Zones, Progress, Challenges and Future Directions, World Bank, 2011. Export processing zone. An export processing zone is a specific type of FTZ, set up generally in developing countries by the governments to promote industrial and commercial exports. Most FTZs located in developing countries: Brazil, Colombia, India, Indonesia, El Salvador, China, the Philippines, Malaysia, Bangladesh, Pakistan, Mexico, Costa Rica, Honduras, Guatemala, Kenya, Sri Lanka, Mauritius and Madagascar have EPZ programs. In 1997, 93 countries had set up export processing zones employing 22.5 million people, and 5 years later, in 2003, EPZs in 116 countries employed 43 million people. China has specific rules differentiating an EPZ from a FTZ. For example, 70% of goods in EPZs must be exported, but there is no such quota for FTZs. Background: the world's first free trade zone was established in Shannon, Ireland. This was an attempt by the Irish government to promote employment within a rural area, make use of a small regional airport and generate revenue for the Irish economy. It was hugely successful, and is still in operation today. The number of worldwide free trade zones proliferated in the late 20th century. In the United States, free trade zones were first authorized in 1934. Corporations setting up in a zone may be given tax breaks as an incentive. Usually, these zones are set up in underdeveloped parts of the host country. The rationale is that the zones will attract employers and thus reduce poverty and unemployment, and stimulate the area's economy. These zones are often used by multinational corporations to set up factories to produce goods. Free trade zones in Latin America date back to the early decades of the 20th century. The first free trade regulations in this region were enacted in Argentina and Uruguay in the 1920s. The Latin American Free Trade Association was created in the 1960 Treaty of Montevideo by Argentina, Brazil, Chile, Mexico, Paraguay, Peru, and Uruguay. However, the rapid development of free trade zones across the region dates from the late 1960s and the early 1970s. Latin American Integration Association is a Latin American trade integration association based in Montevideo. Free trade U1s are also known as special economic zones in some countries. Special economic zones have been established in many countries as testing grounds for the implementation of liberal market economy principles. SEZs are viewed as instruments to enhance the acceptability and the credibility of the transformation policies and to attract domestic and foreign investment. In 1999, there were 43 million people working in about 3,000 FDZs spanning 116 countries producing clothes, shoes, sneakers, electronics, and toys. The basic objectives of EPZs are to enhance foreign exchange earnings, develop export-oriented industries and to generate employment opportunities. U.S. Foreign Trade Zone Board and ASF. In the U.S., the Foreign Trade Zone Board is led by the Secretary of Commerce and the Secretary of the Treasury. In January 2009, the Foreign Trade Zones Board adopted a FDZ Board staff proposal to make what it called the Alternative Site Framework as a means of designating and managing general-purpose FDZ sites through reorganization. The ASF provides foreign trade zone grantees with greater flexibility to meet specific requests for zone status by utilizing the minor boundary modification process. The theory of the ASF is that by more closely linking the amount of FDZ designated space to the amount of space activated with customs and border protection, zone users would have better and quicker access to benefits. When a FDZ grantee evaluates whether or not to expand its FDZ project in order to improve the ease in which the zone may be utilized by existing companies, as well as how it attracts new prospective companies, the alternative site framework should be considered. The ASF may be an appropriate option for certain foreign trade zone projects, but the decision of whether to adopt the new framework and what the configuration of the sites should be will require careful analysis and planning. Regardless of the choice to expand the FDZ project, the sites should be selected and the application should be drafted in such a manner as to receive swift approval, while maximizing benefit to those that locate in the zone. Successful zone projects are generally the result of a plan developed and implemented by individuals that understand all aspects of the FDZ program. The Foreign Trade Zone Board approved the reorganization of Foreign Trade Zone 32 under the Alternative Site Framework. The application submitted by its grantee, the Greater Miami Foreign Trade Zone, was approved and officially audited by the FDZB on January 8, 2013. From California to Oklahoma to North Carolina to New York State, FDZs all across the nation have recently been making use of the flexible opportunities offered by the Alternative Site Framework program. The ASF program is designed to serve zone projects that want the flexibility to both attract users, operators to certain fixed sites, but also want the ability to serve companies at other locations where the demand for FDZ services arises in the future. FDZ 32 was founded in 1979 and processes over $1 billion in goods with products from more than 65 countries and exported to more than 75 countries worldwide, with speed and efficiency. According to the official order from the FDZB, FDZ 32 existing Site 1 Miami Free Zone will be classified as a magnet site. Criticism. Sometimes the domestic government pays part of the initial cost of factory setup, loosens environmental protections and rules regarding negligence and the treatment of workers, and promises not to ask payment of taxes for the next few years. When the taxation-free years are over, the corporation that set up the factory without fully assuming its costs is often able to set up operations elsewhere for less expense than the taxes to be paid, giving it leverage to take the host government to the bargaining table with more demands. But parent companies in the United States are rarely held accountable. Political writer Naomi Klein has also criticized the transient nature of FDZs, noting the factory closures connected to the 1997 Asian financial crisis. She criticized the low wages and long hours, citing work days of 12 or more hours in Indonesia, Philippines, southern China and Sri Lanka circa 2000. List of free trade zones. Africa, Morocco, Tanga Free Zone. Atlantic Free Zone, Kenitra. Free zones at Tanga Med Ksarl Majasmelus 1 and 2. Free zone in Dakhla and Layun. Free storage zone of hydrocarbons, Kabdana and Nador. Source: http www.mce.gov. Ma. Egypt. Egypt has 9 free trade zones. Alexandria Public Free Zone. Damietta Public Free Zone. Ismailia Public Free Zone. Kef Public Free Zone. Media Production City Free Zone. Nasser City Public Free Zone. Port Said Public Free Zone. Shabin Lkom Public Free Zone. Suez Public Free Zone. Djibouti Free Zone. Gabon Zone Économique Spéciale de Nkouk, at 30 kilometers of Libreville, Kenya. According to the Kenya EPZ Authority, the aim of the program is to transform the economy from import substitution to a path of export-led growth. EPZs are designed to further integrate Kenya into the global supply chain and attract export-oriented investments in the zones, thus achieving its economic objectives of job creation, diversification and expansion of exports, increase in productive investments, technology transfer and creation of backward linkages between the zones and the domestic economy. The program has contributed significantly to achieving these objectives with over 40 zones in place, close to 40,000 workers employed and contribution of 10.7% of national exports. Over 70% of EPZ output is exported to the USA under AGOA. These include Alborg Kenya EPZ Limited, Altex EPZ Limited, Apex Apparels EPZ Limited, Ashton Apparel EPZ Limited, Baraka Apparel EPZ Limited, Bluebird Garments EPZ Limited, Blue Sky Films EPZ Limited, California Link EPZ Limited, Cybel Agric EPZ Limited, De La Rue Currency and AMP Security Print EPZ Limited, EA Gas EPZ Limited, EA Molasses EPZ Limited, Earth Oil Kenya Proprietary EPZ Limited, ET Elastotech EPZ Limited, Film Studios EPZ Limited, Forum International EPZ Limited, Friends and AMP Partners EPZ Limited, Global Apparels EPZ Limited, Hindu Farm EPZ Limited, Insight Digital Graphics EPZ Limited, Instaproducts EPZ Limited, Ivy Aqua EPZ Limited, Kenya Marine Contractors EPZ Limited, Kenya Vegex EPZ Limited, Kevro Plastics EPZ Limited, LNC Apparels EPZ Limited, Logistic Container Center Mombasa EPZ Limited, Maximus EPZ Limited, Mega Garments Industries EPZ Limited, Kenya EPZ Limited, Caprig Apparels EPZ Limited, Kencor EPZ Limited, Kenya Fleur Spa EP Limited, Kenya Knit Garment EPZ Limited, Middle East Texaco EPZ Limited, Mirage Fashion Wear EPZ Limited, MRC Nairobi EPZ Limited, Newland EPZ Limited, Nador Kenya EPZ Limited, Norberg Africa EPZ Limited, Neutro Manufacturing EPZ Limited, Oil Tanking EPZ Limited, Penguin Paper and Amp Co. EPZ Limited, Plastics EPZ Limited, Plastic Compounders EPZ Limited, Pontac Productions EPZ Limited, Premium Machinery Distributors EPZ Limited, Protex EPZ Limited, Rising Sun EPZ LT, Rolex Garments EPZ Limited, Rosavi EPZ Limited, Rupa Cotton Mills EPZ Limited, Sahara Stitch EPZ Limited, Senior Best Garment EPZ Limited, Shipmark EPZ Limited, Shinace Garments EPZ Limited, Sinlane EPZ Limited, Sinolink Kenya Garments Manufacturing EPZ Limited, Supreme Plastics EPZ Limited, Texcare Africa EPZ Limited, Twin Leaves EPZ Limited, United Arient EPZ Limited, Apan Wasana EPZ Limited, Wildlife Works EPZ Limited, YKK Kenya EPZ Limited, Libya Misrata Free Trade Zone, Namibia Walvis Bay Export Processing Zone, Oshakango Border Export Processing Zone, Nigeria Aluminium Smelter Company Free Trade Zone, Border Free Trade, Calabar Free Trade Zone, Centenary Economic City, Kano Free Trade Zone, IBOM Science and AMP Technology Park Free Zone, Lekki Free Trade Zone, Megatari Border Free Trade Zone, Nigeria International Commerce City, On Oil and Gas Free Trade Zone, Ogun Guangdong Free Trade Zone, Ilila International Border Market, LADOL Free Zone, Lagos Free Trade Zone, Snake Island Free Trade Zone, Tinapa Resort and AMP Leisure Free Trade Zone, Tanzania Benjamin William Mkapa Special Economic Zone, Tunisia Bizatec, Zatzis, Seychelles ITZ, Asia Bahrain Logistics Zone, Bangladesh Export Processing Zone Authority, Chittagong Export Processing Zone, Karnafuli Export Processing Zone, Dhaka Export Processing Zone, Kamila Export Processing Zone, Adamji Export Processing Zone, Ongla Export Processing Zone, Ishwadi Export Processing Zone, Uttar Export Processing Zone, China Tianjin Free Trade Zone, Shanghai Free Trade Zone, Fujian Free Trade Zone, Guangdong Free Trade Zone, India Kandla Special Economic Zone, India. India was one of the first in Asia to recognize the effectiveness of the export processing zone model in promoting exports, with Asia's first EPZ set up in Kandla in 1965. With a view to overcome the shortcomings experienced on account of the multiplicity of controls and clearances, absence of world-class infrastructure, and an unstable fiscal regime, and with a view to attract larger foreign investments in India, the Special Economic Zones policy was announced in April 2000. SEZ is the first operating zone in the private sector in India. The track record of SEZ in the last 5 years speaks for itself. From a level of about Rs. 62 crores in 2001, exports from SEZ rose to Rs. 2,400 crores in the year 2005-06. Inspira Pharma and Renewable Energy Park, Aurangabad, Maharashtra, India. Srishti Multi-Product SEZ, part of Srishti, which is a developing satellite city in Andhra Pradesh and AMP, Tamil Nadu, India. Asia International Limited, India's first free trade and warehousing zone, the largest multi-product free trade and warehousing infrastructure in India. Ashia's first 165-acre FDWZ is operational in Panvel, Mumbai, and is to be followed by one in Kuha near Delhi. RCU's mega logistics hub at Kuha to have 135-acre FDWZ, 130-acre industrial and distribution hub and AMP 50-acre rail siding. Asia International will be developing 3 more free trade and warehousing zones in central, south and east of India. Kochi Special Economic Zone is a special economic zone in Kochi, in the state of Kerala in southwest India, set up for export-oriented ventures. The Special Economic Zone is a foreign territory within India with special rules for facilitating foreign direct investment. The zone is run directly by the Government of India. Kochi SEZ is a multi-product zone. Kochi is strategically located. It is in southwest India, just 11 nautical miles off the international sea route from Europe to the Pacific Rim. Kochi is being developed by the Dubai Ports International as a container transshipment terminal with direct sailings to important markets of the world, which could position it as hub for South Asia. Ion Free Zone. Hardware Park, Hyderabad. Madras Export Processing Zone. Indonesia Batam Free Trade Zone. Iran Ansarleh Free Zone. Gilan Province. Aras Free Zone. East Azerbaijan Province. Arvand Free Zone. Khuzestan Province. Shabafar Free Trade Industrial Zone. Kish Island, Hormozgan Province. Maku Free Zone, West Azerbaijan Province. Keshem Island, Hormozgan Province. Imam Khomeini Airport City Free Zone, Tehran Province. Japan Okinawa FDZ Naha Okinawa, Japan and Nakagasuku Free Trade Zone. Jordan Aqaba Special Economic Zone Authority. Jordan Media City, Korea, North Luzon Special Economic Zone. Malaysia Bayan Lepas Free Trade Zone, Penang. Hulu Klang FDZ. Kulam High Tech Park, Kedah. Malacca Batu Berendam FDZ. Pasir Gudang Free Trade Zone, Johor. Port Klang Free Zone, Klang, Selangor. Sungai Way FDZ. Teluk Pangli Magaring FDZ. Oman Al Maziana Free Zone. Special Economic Zone at Dukim. Salalah Free Zone, Salalah. Sohar Free Zone, Sohar. Pakistan Gwadar Port Free Trade Zone. Karachi Export Processing Zone. Philippines Saudi Arabia Jazan Economic City. King Abdullah Economic City. Prince Abdulaziz bin Musad Economic City. Tajikistan Panj Free Economic Zone. SUGHD Free Economic Zone. United Arab Emirates Ajman Free Zone. Creative City. Al Kuwain Free Trade Zone. Ras Al Khaimah Free Trade Zone. Dubai Airport Free Zone. Dubai Internet City. Dubai Knowledge Village. Dubai Media City. Dubai Studio City. Dubai Silicon Oasis. International Media Production Zone. Jebel Ali Free Zone. Yemen Aden. Europe Belarus Brest Fez. China Belarus Industrial Park. Grodno Fez. Mogilev Free Enterprise Zone. Ireland Shannon Free Zone. Latvia Liepājas Special Economic Zone. Lithuania Kaunas Free Economic Zone. Klaipėda Free Economic Zone. Poland Special Economic Zone Euro Park Mirlis. Walbrik Special Economic Zone Invest Park. Romania Constanța South Free Zone. Basarabi Free Zone. Giriu Free Zone. Arad Kurtachi Free Zone. Sulina Free Zone. Galati Free Zone. Brela Free Zone. North America Bahamas Freeport, Bahamas. Canada Centerport Canada. Winnipeg, Manitoba. Calgary Region Inland Port, Calgary, Alberta. Port Alberta, Edmonton, Alberta. Halifax Gateway, Halifax, Nova Scotia. Global Transportation Hub, Regina, Saskatchewan. Niagara Trade Zone, Niagara, Ontario. Cape Breton Regional Municipality FDZ, CBRM, Nova Scotia. Dominican Republic Zona Franca Industrial La Palma Limited, Santiago, Negua Free Zone, Santo Domingo, El Salvador Zona Franca Santa Ana, Guatemala Zolic, Haiti Lafito Industrial Free Zone, Jamaica Jamaican Free Zones, Mexico Maquiladoras, Panama Free Trade Zone, United States Greater Indianapolis Foreign Trade Zone Inc. FDZ number 72 Indianapolis, Indiana, Fort Lansing FDZ number 275 Lansing, Michigan, FDZ 281-4 Miami, Florida, Miami Free Zone, FDZ number 32 Miami, Florida, Greater Kansas City Foreign Trade Zone Inc., FDZ number 15 Kansas City, Missouri, USA, St. Louis County Port Authority, FDZ number 102 St. Louis, Mo, USA, City of Springfield, FDZ number 225 Springfield, Missouri, USA, City of Ontario, Dear Hitachi Construction Machinery Corporation, Kernersville, NC, USA, Chattanooga, TN, USA, Knoxville, TN, USA, Smyrna, TN, USA, El Paso FDZ number 68, Port of Houston, FDZ number 84 Houston, Texas, USA, Port of Milwaukee, FDZ number 41, Port San Antonio, Operational Technologies, FDZ number 80 San Antonio, Texas, FDZ number 79 Tampa, Florida, Port of Seattle, Seattle, Washington, Port of Boston, Boston, Massachusetts, FDZ number 27, South America, Argentina, General Pico, Tierra del Fuego Province, Brazil, Bataguasu, Free Economic Zone of Manaus, Chile, Zona Franca of Iquique, Colombia, Zona Franca del Pacifico, Cali, Palmira, Colombia, Zona Franca Bogotá, Bogotá, Cundinamarca, Colombia, Zona Franca de Cucuta, Zona Franca Metropolitana SAS, Zona Franca de Occidente, Zona Franca Santander, Zona Franca de Tocancipá SA, Zona Franca de Barranquilla, Zona Franca Brisa SA, Zona Franca La Cayena, Zona Franca Las Americas, Paraguay Ciudad del Este, Peru, Zona Franca of Tacna, ZOFRATACNA, CETICOS Matarani, CETICOS ILO, CETICOS Paita, Uruguay, Aguada Park, Uruguay, Parque de las Ciencias, Uruguay, WTC Free Zone Uruguay, Zona Franca de Colonia, Uruguay, Zona Franca Colonia Suiza, Uruguay, Zona Franca Florida, Uruguay, Zona Franca Libertad, Uruguay, Zona Franca Nueva Palmira, Uruguay, Zona Franca Rio Negro, Uruguay, Zona Franca Rivera, Uruguay, Zona Franca UPM, Uruguay, Zone America Business and AMP Technology Park, Uruguay.